Wow, Sinatra.
Another day, another dollar I'm saving just to be broke. They said college was serious, but my degree feel like a joke. 4 years or less, I'm saying I got it done. No playing, just to end up at my mom's after I told her I wasn't staying. Well, here we are. No question, I'm a star. Just got some light years to travel, but it's just so far. But I'ma make it though. Make sure you get your focus right. You coming too? It's about to be one hell of a ride. Yeah, this adults and stuff is crazy. They ain't warn us about this. I'm supposed to live my best life on an unpaid internship. How I'm supposed to find my husband? Everybody running game. I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. Went from worrying about on flow to running from Uncle Sam. Now I understand why student accounts never gave a damn. Saving accounts be slipping, trying to work out, but I'm tripping. I forgot health insurance. Oh, I'm my mom's until I'm 26, so I gotta pay these student loans. That's adulting. But the score doing the most. That's adulting. Moving out of mom's house. That's adulting. But it's all gonna work out. That's adulting. I need a legal side hustle. That's adulting. Cause these bills got me in trouble. That's adulting. Journey's course is never planned. That's adulting. Just leave it in God's hands. Cause that's adulting.
Hey friends, I'm back. Honey, the devil tried to take me out last week, but I'm here. I did not think I was going to make it, but your girl is here. So thank you if you've been praying for me because I needed all the prayers. I want to start off by saying thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all of your support, the positive feedback I've received, the DMs, the messages on under the posts, on Twitter, on Facebook, just everything I've received has literally touched my heart and made me super excited that I decided to launch this podcast. So thank you. I couldn't do it without your support. For anyone who knows me, I am a big baby. Like, I love love. I love friendship. I love support, all of that. So to be on the receiving end of just all of that support last week was really amazing, and I just wanted to be sure I expressed my thanks. Because of you all sharing and reposting things, the podcast was actually heard in the United Kingdom, Ireland, Egypt, and Mongolia, and of course the United States. And I don't even know how that's possible aside from God. So, of course, he's getting all the glory, but I'm thanking you all just for sharing and reposting and just anything that you did. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And if you're joining the School of Life podcast for the first time, welcome. Honey, you're in for a real treat. This podcast is a space where we get our adult lives all the way together. And I'm super happy that you are joining us along for the journey. Just so you know, we're all friends in this school, okay? I'm learning from y'all learning from me, and we're just all trying to pass this thing together. So, again, thank you, welcome, and I'm super excited for episode 2 of the School of Life podcast. So, before we get started, I want to get our class announcements out of the way, and then we'll just hop right into the lesson. So, be sure you're following the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at School of Life Pod. You can also follow me personally at _Miss Jaye, MISSJAYE. Social media is how I connect with you all, how I remind you of your homework, how I do my wellness checks, just all of that. So just make sure you're following so that we can connect. Also, you can slide in my DMs or email the podcast email, which is schooloflifepod@gmail.com, to ask your adulting questions or submit a topic for consideration. I love receiving topics because it gives me a chance to think outside of the box. So yeah, you can send those to me. When I do start receiving questions, I will address 2 per week on the podcast during the Q&A segment. And just to put it out there, no question is dumb. Like I said, we're all trying to figure this thing out together. And if I don't know the answer, I'll be sure to find you someone who does and to help you find an answer to your question. And I'm not an expert on anything. That's a big disclaimer. The only thing I'm an expert on is my faith, and barely, okay? Because child, that's another story for another day. But I'm not an expert, but if there's ever a time where I feel that I can use my network or some additional resources to assist you, I will be happy to. And speaking of my network, I will have experts on the show who are professionals in their fields to talk about things like home buying, financial literacy, and all of that. So, areas where it's not my expertise, we will have someone who has studied that thing and who knows that thing. And that's what this podcast is really about, getting the information out to you all that we need to get our lives together and to have a great life. So, yeah. DM me your questions, DM me topics, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Next class announcement. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. When you subscribe, you automatically get the podcast episodes downloaded to your phone when I drop them. I believe that if you're not subscribed, you can't get them until the cycle is completed for them to upload. I'm still learning this stuff, but I do know when you subscribe, they automatically come to your phone. So make sure you subscribe. I know you don't want to be tardy to the party, honey. You don't want to miss anything. So hit that subscribe button. And I'm still trying to decide if I want to release episodes on Mondays or Fridays. So just bear with your girl. The first episode was a Friday because I was like super excited. I didn't think it was going to be ready till Monday, but when they said Friday, I was like, okay, boom, here, we done. Let's roll it out. But a lot of my favorite podcasts are released on Mondays, and I like the fresh start to the week. So I'll figure it out. Y'all just bear with me. Also, if you tuned in last week and you wrote me any type of positive feedback via text message, DM, email, whatever the case, I am asking that you pretty please write your feedback in the review section of the podcast. I want everyone who searches School of Life to be able to see how this podcast is positively affecting you and your feelings about it and all of that. So if you could do me a solid and leave your feedback in the reviews, I would greatly appreciate it. And last school announcement. I will be adding a new segment to the show called Show and Tell, which I'm super excited about. In this segment, I will shout out a small business that's doing their thing or trying to get their thing together, just starting out with their thing. The business can be located anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be in the state that I live in, because I do claim that this podcast will continue to be heard all over the world and that y'all's businesses will reach people all over the world. So, the way to be featured is to slide in my DMs or shoot me an email at schooloflifepod@gmail.com. And what I'll do is get some information from you, and then boom, free advertisement for now, okay? When this podcast start reaching the masses and racking up the coins, the price is going to go up. But no, really. Anyone who knows me knows that I love supporting others and showing love and all of that. So I would be remiss if I did not take the time to show love to my fellow entrepreneurs out there. And so I'm really happy about the show and tell segment. And I'm looking forward to y'all adding me in your friends' business pages, sending my information to them, whatever the case, because we have to support one another, period. That's how that goes. So that's all for our class announcements this week. Hopefully it won't be that many next week, but we'll see. What's been up with me? Child, I moved. I left Countrytown, Alabama again. I got a new job in Georgia, and we're going to need a whole nother episode to even talk about why I left NASA. So just stay tuned for that. But anyways, I recently moved. It has been a little stressful. My life has just been suitcases and in my car and more suitcases and stubbing my toe on things. It's just a little chaotic. On top of starting a new job in a new city with a new company, just woo. But I'm really blessed. It's been a lot, but I feel extremely blessed. This is what I prayed for, and so I'm embracing it and just like, okay, Laura, you got this. Let me bring the stress down because there's nothing I can do about certain things. So, anyways, I moved. I'm now in Georgia. If any of my listeners are in Georgia, maybe I'll do like a listener link up or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm in Georgia now. I left Alabama. I found an apartment, thank the Lord. So right now I'm staying with my godparents. One set of them. I have two sets of godparents. But I'm staying with my godparents, and I love staying here because my godmom packs my lunch. Shout out to her if she's listening. Like I told you, I'm a baby. I'm an adult 99.9% of the time, but that extra little 0.1%, I'm a baby. And so I have been loving having my lunch packed and just chilling on the couch and having TV time with the fam. Little things like that really touch my heart. It's like just wow. But I have found an apartment and I will be moving from here next month. So bear with me during my transition. I do plan to continue releasing episodes every week. We'll see how that goes. But if I don't, y'all know why. But anyways, in my new job, I work for Gwinnett County. I am a outreach project coordinator, something that I love doing. I love people. I love outreach. So I'm excited about what's all entailed. The position is brand new, so I'm super thrilled to like just grow it and make it my own and just learn and embrace this change and just everything. I'm really, really excited. And your girl got her own office for the first time, so I don't know how to act, okay? But I want to share that a big lesson throughout this entire process has been patience goes a long way. I don't have a lot of patience. Pray for me, okay? I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Just pray for your girl. But I applied to this job back in March. Um, I got the first interview in May, and I didn't get the second interview until like July or late June. I think it was no, it was late June, and then they made the offer in July. But anyhow, patience. Patience is so important. Everything ended up working in my favor, and it's just been amazing to just see how this entire process has unfolded. So I'm excited. I'm tired. I was a bit stressed. I told y'all the devil tried to take me on out of here, but I'm here. I'm good. So that's what's up with me. In all of that, my teachable moment is that everything has a season and a reason. And I chose this as my teachable moment because really last week just it tried me the whole week. I was just in a place where I'm like, why aren't things working out the way I want them to? So I was so set on wanting a house. I was tired of paying rent. And for anyone who lives in Georgia or knows about Georgia, the cost of living is higher than Alabama, okay? They want like $1,300 for a one bedroom. I was like, I don't want to pay that. But guess who's going to be paying it? Me. Anyhow, and that's for someone nice. You know, you got to be safe and all of that. But nonetheless, my teachable moment is that everything has a season and a reason because while I was getting so stressed out and just panties in a wad about wanting this house, I didn't really take a moment to reflect like that's not my season. Like it's not house season for Jay right now. It's focus on your job season. It's accomplish your financial goals season. And I'm like, you know what, God, you're right because I share my goals and all of that with God. Maybe at the beginning of this year, I made my financial goals and I just took it as He's holding me accountable. He like, the house was on the goal list, but that wasn't the priority. So I just had to kind of come to grips with, hey, it's not my season right now. And the greatest part is that it's all for a reason. Literally, that would be too much stress right now. I already started a new job. I just moved. I need to get acclimated to the city and the state and the traffic and all of that. So I just appreciate that in all of that, I was able to just take this teachable moment from this entire situation. So if you are in a place where you're feeling like things aren't going your way or you're not understanding why things are the way they are, just remember everything has a season, everything has a reason, honey, and don't stress about it because you don't want to be like me. I was just woo, attitude was on 1,000. I had to bring that all the way down. But I'm gonna get the house, okay? Not this year, maybe, but maybe next year. Just stay tuned, okay? I'm gonna get that house, and I'm gonna be sure y'all know. But I'm just excited that in my season, I will get the house I want, and it will be my dream house, and it will be built from the ground, and it will be immaculate and amazing. So that's my teachable moment. If you have any teachable moments throughout the week, I always encourage you to share them with me on Twitter, Instagram, or via email. And I may even start sharing a few of them in the show and tell segment. I think that'd be a good addition. So that's my life right now and what's going on with me. Like I said, keep me lifted before the throne. I need all the prayer I can get. But let's hop into today's topic. So today we are talking about purpose, finding yourself, evolving, becoming, all of that, or the lack thereof. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am not and cannot possibly be the only one that has ever felt like, what the hello is my life right now? Like, what is it? What am I doing? Who am I? Where are my friends? Jesus, where are you? Because you said you were an on time God and you're running a little late to me. Like, I know I'm not the only one. Aside from talking to my friends about this like all the time and making sure it wasn't just me, I did a little research because I'm like, you know what? The Google will know if I'm the only one or not. And kind of not surprisingly, but a little surprising. Well, no, not surprising. I found that our generation, what they call the millennials, y'all know that's our generation's name. Studies show that our generation suffers from higher rates of depression, stress, and suicide than any other generation because of these feelings of who am I? What am I doing? What is my purpose? What is life? And I was like, wow. First of all, that sucks. We have a lot of pressure on us and we just feel lost. Like, can you be honest? Like, have you ever felt lost? I know I have. I just felt like I was wandering through life, just wondering. So, the biggest thing is that I don't want to speak for all of us, but I know there have been times where I felt like I had no idea what the heck was going on. I'm confused, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not feeling good enough. I'm stressed. I'm not feeling adequate. I feel like I'm too much. The list just goes on. All these feelings that we have that sometimes society can put that pressure on us, but even sometimes we could put that pressure on ourselves. But no matter where the pressure is coming from, we're having these feelings and it's causing us to be depressed and stressed and suicidal. And I am praying that if you are any of those things, that you seek help. And I will be sure to put some hotline information in the show notes. And if you want to talk to a professional, you talk to a professional. If you want to talk to me, I'm not a professional, but I can guide you to one. Like, I take those things very serious. But the truth of the matter is, we've all experienced some form of questioning, what the heck is going on? What is this? And if you haven't, shout out to you, sis or bro. Power to you, because I know I have on numerous occasions. The good news in all of that, though, is that you're not alone. Just like I wasn't alone during my craziness and figuring out what life was, you're not alone through yours. And you never will be. I can remember when I first, no, it was my second experience with depression. I had gone through a terrible breakup. Like, y'all, I thought Jesus was coming back like that day. Like, he had to be coming on the chariot to pick me up and take me on to glory because it was time. Like, that's how serious it was. And thinking back, I'm like, wow, I'm dramatic. But that's how I felt. Like, he was coming back to get your girl because I was not going to make it on this earth. But, anyways, seriously, I was so depressed and didn't even realize it. And that was the scary part. It wasn't until one of my line sisters told me I had lost weight. And I was like, no, I haven't. And I went home to look at myself and then look at old pictures. And I had. I didn't even realize that I hadn't ate anything real for like 3 weeks. Like, I was in my bed, lights off. I would go to work, come home. That's it. I was so depressed. And I felt lost. I felt like I didn't have any purpose and I didn't belong. And at the time, I was living in Delaware, away from my family, and I had just gotten my first big girl job. I was actually still in college when I started working full time. So I was trying to figure out adulting and trying to graduate and continue to have honors and just all of that and just throw in a bad breakup. It was just a hot mess. But that was my second biggest experience with depression. But the lesson I learned from that in hindsight, and I'm so thankful for hindsight, was that my sense of not having any purpose was tied up in this major life event that triggered that depression. And it took me a while to like try to unwrap that, but it was hard to compartmentalize things. And if you want to stay sane, the truth of the matter is you have to learn how to compartmentalize. I made the mistake of tying my purpose into this relationship, and it just went downhill. But when you learn to keep it separate and to lean only on your source of faith, mine of course is God, but lean only on God for your purpose and keep the relationship kind of separate. When it all burns up, if it burns up, I pray that your relationship doesn't, but if things burn up, all of it isn't gone. And so when I learned that, I was like, wow, okay, moving forward, I have to keep me intact. Like Jacqueline or Maria Washington, yes, full government name, has to keep herself intact and her purpose and her wholeness and just all that she is intact and separated from becoming too entangled with someone else or even with a job or with friendships, whatever your something else may be. It's so easy to do those things, and then when it blows up, depression comes. And so it was a really interesting lesson, but I was just reminded of that story when I talked about, just feeling lost and overwhelmed. That was like a major turning point in my life, and I'm so thankful it happened, because it taught me so much. And even recently, um, it's not that I think I was depressed, but I just didn't realize that I was going through a real transformation. And that is a really good point. So, like, when you're growing and becoming this new person, you really have to go through the transformation. And I didn't realize, even with um, my breakup that happened, that I was transforming. Like, I was becoming this new person. I was so set on how I felt at the time and just being down and out and not eating and all of that. I didn't even have the time to realize, wow, I've grown. I'm a new person. I'm a better person because of this. But I know that now. And a couple of months ago, I was going through these feelings. I wasn't depressed, but I did realize that I was going through a transformation. And what made me realize that was that I started to just feel like, who am I? What am I doing? Those same questions started coming up. And as opposed to like laying down and just letting life beat me up, I like full on embraced it. And I think many of you can probably relate to this kind of transformation or becoming situation, especially as we adult, because so many times just out of nowhere you feel like, what am I doing? Like, where am I going? What is this life? Like, I didn't learn this. No one gave me the blueprint. What is this? Um, so easily I'm reminded of when I moved from Delaware to Alabama just last year. I know y'all, I'm moving a lot. This is probably gonna be it for a little minute, but I moved, and it started with a crazy moving company, y'all. That is another story. Let me tell y'all, these people lost my dining room chair, my box spring. Oh, not my mattress. Thank you, God. That's a good mattress. Anyways, the move started crazy, but when I moved, it was hard to get settled. I was starting to feel overlooked at my new job. It was just a lot going on in this season of transition. And so crazy how God just turns things around. I went from being overlooked at my new job to becoming the leader on a team. Like, almost everybody left. It was just me. And with that, I was still not feeling fulfilled. Like, what was going on? I had family issues going on. I was dealing with healing. Like, it was just a lot. I was questioning, like, Jesus, I need you to be a fence all around me, okay? Every day, because you said you would. I would go to work. I would come home. I would sit in the dark. I would eat a snack cake. And first of all, that's why I need to be in the gym now, because I look like a snack cake. But I ate too many snack cakes at the time. And what's weird is that I didn't feel depressed, but I just didn't feel like me. And when I started questioning, like, what am I doing? Like, did I make the right move? Like, what's really going on? I realized that I was going through a transformation. And I was so glad to catch it, like, head on. Like, at the onset of it, I didn't let the depression sink in. I embraced that, hey, I may be changing. Like, I may be being stretched. And that takes me to like one of my first points about when you're being stretched. You have to have a source for your strength and your sanity. Because if you start if life starts stretching you and you don't have any foundation, woo, you're just gonna be wavering all over the place. I'm gonna get to that because I have some notes. I'm gonna get to that. But anyways, it was a lot going on, as I'm sure you can imagine. I just didn't have any to do anything at all. When I lived in Delaware, life was full force. Like I was full speed ahead. I was always doing something. I felt fulfilled. Like it was amazing. I'm like, I don't have any friends. It's just me and my boo. Like I'm not gonna make any friends. Like moving was a lot, and this new me wasn't the same person that I was in Delaware. I'm like, I'm not active in church. I can't even find a freaking church to go to. Like, Lord, how can I not find a church? Like, really, out of all the things. But I just felt like this wasn't me. I'm like, this isn't me. But I was evolving, y'all. My purpose was expanding and I was evolving, and it turned out to be such a beautiful journey looking back. And I'm saying looking back, this was just like last year, like this time last year, but it was so beautiful because I was able to realize that I wasn't depressed. Life wasn't beating me up. I was just going through a transformation. I was becoming a better person, a more mature person, a more emotionally intelligent person. And it was so worth it. Now, was it uncomfortable? Yes. It was very uncomfortable. But again, it was so worth it. And what's so crazy is that I didn't really have this revelation until last week. I was talking to one of my friends. She actually moved from Huntsville to Georgia as well. I'm so happy for her. But I was talking to her, and we were just talking about how growth can happen so fast that you don't even realize it. Like you look back, like, wow, I went through that because I was growing. And that's what happened. I was becoming a better version of Jaye. And so I want you to think of your challenges as maybe growth opportunities and opportunities to become something and discover your purpose and discover who you are. I don't really like to say finding yourself. If I said that at the beginning, forgive me, because I never think we're lost. I just think we're discovering and evolving as people with each challenge. And with that, I'm always reminded of this sermon that I heard a few years ago, and I have a sermon reference as a resource, but this is a different sermon, and it just talks about how when you're going through a season of transformation, like God would take you underground, like He will plant you. He takes a seed, which is you, and He will plant you. And long story short, He will water you, He will tend to you, He will provide that sunlight, just enough sunlight that you need. But for the biggest part, you're going to be underground and you're going to feel alone because you're being planted. And think about when you put a seed in the ground. Well, y'all probably aren't gardeners, but when you put a seed in the ground, the roots start to grow so strong that once they're strong enough, that's when the stem can come out and the flower can bud and all of that. And so when I heard that sermon or iteration of it a few years ago, I was like, wow, that's a really good life lesson to carry throughout life when you're facing challenges. Like, you're not under attack, you're just being planted, and it's going to be a beautiful flower. You're going to be a beautiful flower when it's all said and done. And look at me now, y'all. I'm sprouting just a little bit, okay? I ain't full bloom yet. I'm still growing, but it's so great to think about, even just last year when I felt planted, when I felt like, what am I doing? Who am I? What is my purpose? I have no drive to do anything. I'm feeling alone. Like, what is it, God? And all along, I was being planted. The one thing that I held on to no matter what was kind of that sense of transformation and being planted. I never folded so bad that I gave up on God. Like, never. I never folded, period. Aside from eating snack cakes, I was eating my good sermons every day. Like, I was listening to a sermon every day. I was having my prayers and my talks with God. I was listening to my worship music. Like, anything I could do to like press deeper as I was planted, that's what I started doing, because I remembered just a few years prior when I went through that deep depression and I didn't press. I started pressing, but it was like I was deep into that thing and I needed to press even harder to get out. But I wanted to not get to the point where I felt so down and out and I felt like I had no purpose in this life. And so as soon as I felt those questions coming, I just pressed and pressed and pressed. And I've always been a worshiper. I've always been one like I talk to God all day, every day. I have my music going. I write in my journal, my Bible journal, all of that. But when you're above ground, it's easy to go with the flow of the wind. Like that's easy. It's when you're underground and when you're growing that you have to fight your way, and that time with God is even more critical. So when I pressed, I read more. I read more than I normally would. I prayed longer than I normally would, even when I didn't want to. And that's what really helped me. When I would give to others, I would feel better. Like I was just doing things that allowed me to feel connected to my source so that I didn't go crazy. Because I'm telling y'all, the first time when I went crazy, I didn't like that. I didn't like feeling like I didn't have control over my own mind. And I didn't like that. And if you've ever been there, I know you know what that feels like. But now I see that in all of that, I was growing in that transformation, even in moving and just changing jobs and working at a place like NASA, which was amazing, but it came with its own set of challenges. I was growing so much. And when I just stopped and I started to embrace it with the attitude of gratitude and the attitude of, God, whatever you want me to do, you got it, and I'm here, and I'll just continue to do what you asked me to do. It became a better journey underground. Some of y'all are still underground because you folded your arms and you said, oh, well, God, look, honey, child, boo, whatever. I'm going to just be here. This going to be my life. This what you want from me to struggle all my life? And no, that's not the case. And that's not going to cut it. You can be honest and let the Lord know, look, homie, it's rough. I'm tired. I'm not feeling like myself. I don't know what you want me to do in this world. I don't have any purpose. Like, who am I? You can talk to God just like that, and I guarantee you He'll show up. I bet you $50 He'll show up. Bet. Let's bet right now. $50. And if He don't, I'll give you $50. And if He do, cash at me. No, I'm just kidding. But becoming your best adult self will cost you some seasons of confusion, some seasons of solitude, some seasons of pain, and the list goes on. And I don't know about you, but no one taught me that. Like, no one taught me that when you get in those seasons, what to do, how to continue to press, how to not lose your mind, how to not cuss nobody out for just looking at you the wrong way. And it really starts in your heart. That would be my answer. When you get your heart posture together and you're leaning on a foundation that's stronger than you could ever be, you can get through it, because those seasons will come and those seasons are tough, and it's going to cost you all your comfortability. Like comfort zone where none existent. I used to think that when I graduated college, I would be grown, I would get married, I would have kids, and I would live happily ever after, and I would have a few little bumps in the road, but that would be it. Child, honey. Ain't nobody tell me about this long road of evolving and transforming and becoming. Listen, they didn't tell us. And so we sitting here caught off guard, swinging at the devil's left and right. The road is long, y'all, but we can do it. We got this. We can do it together. When you're going through your evolution and you're becoming a better version of you, don't run from it. Embrace it. I think that's the biggest thing about becoming and finding purpose. Embrace the different seasons, because you'll eventually get to where God is taking you, and then you'll have to grow some more and grow some more, and it'll just become a beautiful cycle of growing and evolving. How you gonna have a testimony with no test? Like, you need those seasons to continue to grow you. How you gonna have purpose without any pain? Baby, no pain, no gain. I know y'all heard that. It will be worth it in the end, because you'll look over your shoulder like, wow, I am a beautiful flower. Like, I got this. And you're not stuck. You're stretching. You're not hopeless. You're being honed. Like, all of these are things you have to remind yourself. You're not lost. Like I told you, I don't think you can feel lost. I think the truth is that you're evolving and becoming. You never lost yourself. You're just becoming a better version of yourself. And when we start embracing that, It is so beautiful. So beautiful. One good point that I have to make is that evolving and becoming is really about not being in control. So, like, everything I just said has been basically no control. You're giving the control to God and letting Him do His thing. Because if you ever had a say over everything that made you uncomfortable, you'd never grow. You would be like, nope, not doing it, not taking that job, not moving to that state, not dating that person. That's too hard. But baby, you got to stretch and you got to grow if you want to reach your purpose and you want to continue to be your best self. Like, that's just a non-negotiable. You got to stretch. You know what? On the adulting application, it should say requirements stretching, because that's about the only one we need. Like, think about it. Everything we've had to kind of learn since graduating college has been a stretching and teachable moment. I don't know about you, but for me, it has. About everything I've had to do, I've had to stretch. So I'm going to refine the adulting application, and there's only one qualification: must be able to stretch. And I'm not talking about bending down, touching your toes, honey. I'm talking about that hardcore stretching where you are becoming so uncomfortable. So, yeah, you got to stretch. Just get that in your mind. I have to stretch, period. But even when you feel lost and without purpose, aside from stretching, you have to press as well. Pressing is so important because your purpose is on the other side of the wall. You've been hiding from that pain. And the only way that we get through pain is by pressing. We can avoid some pains. Some things we have to go literally directly through. We can't go around it. We can't go under it. We can't go over it. We have to walk through it. And so when you continue to press, you go deeper into who you are and who you're meant to be and a better version of yourself. And it's so worth it. So just remember, your purpose is on the other side of that wall you've been building, and you just have to press through that pain, honey. And I know that there's a lot of unexpected pain that we face while trying to navigate this adult thing. Like, whew, I know I'm saying press, and it's easier said than done. And believe me, I'm not talking as if I haven't had to do it. I'm talking from some experience myself, but I know it's hard. We lose friends, we go through breakups, we don't get jobs. Emphasis on we don't get jobs. I personally have been super blessed, but I know so many people who can't find a freaking job. You go to college, can't find a job. That's a whole nother topic and gripe with the Lord that we need to take to the altar, but we can't find jobs. We have student debt. Some of us have the burden of wanting to move out of our parents' house, but you can't. Some of you may have credit card debt that you accumulated while in college. Some of you have kids, and kudos to you because, baby, I'm closing my eyes now. I cannot imagine. Nope, I had to open them. I can't imagine. Some of you have kids. Some of you have personal trauma. Some of you have emotional trauma that you're healing from. I know that's my testimony. Like, I got some healing to do and am doing. It's just a lot. We're dealing with a lot, and there's a lot of pain that comes with so many different things that no one really prepares us for. But when you learn to press in these different situations, it gets better. It really does. Oh, and then you have to throw adulting in the mix, like the day to day adult things that we weren't prepared for either. And there's no guide. Yeah, child, where's my refund? Honey, I'm going to the adulting bank today. I did not ask for this. I did not. I get so upset sometimes thinking about, like, I could have been a butterfly. Like, yeah, why wasn't I a butterfly? I'm crazy. Clearly, I'm here for a purpose, which is to talk to this podcast and y'all. So there we go. I can't be a butterfly doing that. But really, just press, y'all. You got this. You can do this. And if you don't feel like you have any purpose, you can be honest with God and be like, look, homie, I don't know what you're doing in the J factory up there, but can I get a memo? Like, can I get some guidance? Y'all may be laughing, but I'm serious. That's sometimes I'll have to talk to him like, hey bud, I could use some guidance. But no, really, if you're pressing and you still feel like you have no sense of purpose or you don't know what the heck is going on, it's totally the first recommendation is seeking God, like, and truly seeking him. And that's another topic discussion, how to do that. So, yeah, y'all got this. We got this. I know that some feelings of not having any purpose stem from life situations that we can't control. And I've been there, believe me. But aside from seeking God first, there are many resources for us out there, and there are resources and things for all of us, no matter what stage of becoming and growing and evolving that we're at. We just have to be willing to tap into those resources. Those resources can be church groups, they can be professional development groups, they can be book clubs, just anything that sparks your interest and that you feel with that would ignite that fire. To me, that's a resource. Of course, the source, the number one source and resource is God, but there's so many things out here that we have to be open to tapping into that will bring out the best in us. So something you would love to do even when you feel like, what the heck is my life? Like when I feel like, what the heck is my life? I love giving to people. I love helping people. No matter how I'm feeling, I want to give and I want to help and I want to see people be their best selves. Even if that's just giving a meal to a homeless person, like something like that. And so that's how I discovered that my purpose was to be a service to people. And so think about what resources you have in your community, in your church, at your school, in your friend group, and tap into those resources. Like, I literally feel like I walked through the fire of pain just to be alive today. I feel like I walked through that fire, I used those resources, I leaned on God, and I almost lost just my mind just to be here. But it's so amazing to look back. And it's not even that far. Like, I'm talking like I'm 85, but life is hard out here. I've been through a lot of things, but it's so amazing to just look back and to see where I've come from that initial onset of pain, from that very first situation, that I can remember, or that very first resource that I tapped into. And mine was counseling. That's a resource. I went to counseling at the age of 17 because of some life things that had happened. And I started evolving at that point. Although the things I went through in high school were like some of my lowest times in life. But I started evolving at that moment. And I didn't even realize that. But now looking back, I'm like, wow, I'm glad I pressed. And I'm glad I went to counseling when my godmom suggested it. And I'm glad that I did everything that made me uncomfortable because I discovered myself along the way and I discovered my purpose. And it was all because I pressed and I continued to press and I never, never, ever laid down and folded my arms and said, you know what? I quit. Now, did I take a break? Did I hop off this track? Yes. A lot of times I was like, wait now, pause, time out. What are we doing here, Jesus? But I never gave up. I got back in the race. And I think that's the biggest lesson. You have to press. You have to tap into those resources because who you are is tied to all of this. Nothing is in vain, and I can guarantee you that. And I think that's where we go wrong. We think that things are happening to us when really they're happening for us. Like, that's a good word. Nothing's happening to you, it's happening for you. And you just have to kind of go inside yourself and figure out, what is this lesson? Am I growing? Am I stretching? How can I make this a positive thing? And that's where you'll find your answer because all along, the answer to who you are is in you, period. Whether it's in you through pain, in you through giving, in you through happiness, who you are is already in you. You just have to become that person. And you can't become that person unless you go through some things, baby. That's good. You have to go through some things. So that's the lesson for today, y'all. We all have purpose. We just have to become our best selves to get there. We really do. And so, talking about resources and becoming and just really wrapping the lesson up, I want to give you guys a few tips and resources of my own to help you on this journey because I know it's not easy. So, the first one, which is the biggest one to me, is to have your roots in something that's bigger than you. What does your faith look like? My roots are, of course, in God, which I talk about all the time, and I will continue to openly talk about Him because I love the Lord. But you have to have your roots in something bigger than you, so that when your life seems to be falling apart, you're rooted. You're rooted, and you're staying rooted. Like the wind can come, the rain can come, the storms can come, the snow can come, anything can come. Think about a big tree. Its roots are in that ground, and so my ground is God, and your ground may be family, or your ground may be um, service. I don't know, but mine is something that's bigger than me, which is God. And when you have those roots, nothing can come against you and uproot you. And you have to be rooted. Another tip is to have an accountability partner. Have someone who you can talk to and can truly hold you accountable when you have resources that you may tap into. So let's say you say, hey, accountability partner, I'm going to start going to counseling. Can you make sure if I don't text you that I went to counseling that you check on me? Things like that, because that matters. Or even if you want to start going back to church, or you want to start volunteering at an organization, if you know you need an accountability partner, depend on that person. And that person can also pick you up when you're down. Like, don't be afraid to connect with people and share what you're going through so that they can help you. And then the next thing I would say is try to do one thing that brings you comfort. So, in the midst of chaos and trying to become a better person, not find yourself, but become a better person and evolve, find that one thing that's going to always bring you comfort. Journaling is mine. I love journaling. First of all, I have a problem because I buy journals before I finish the ones I have. And so, my home library when I get home is going to be just journals. Journaling is my comfort thing that has always been there since I was a little girl. I love to write, love to journal. And when I'm feeling like what the hello is going on in my life, I pull out a journal and it just brings me some peace, and it helps me to kind of refocus my thoughts. Another thing that brings me comfort is giving to others. And so I can vividly remember there have been times where my life was in complete shambles, and I decided to go volunteer. I decided to organize something for people who may have been less fortunate than me, or I decided to spend my day at a shelter, whatever the case was. I just vividly remember my life being in shambles, and I'm out doing something for others, being of service to others. And so crazily, that brings me comfort. And so, on this journey to becoming, find those things that bring you comfort that you can always go back to. And then, my last tip would be to be comfortable in silence. I love to talk, and I love to have community talk and all of that, and have my friends around at the table and we having a good old time. I just love that. But when I learned how to be quiet, and not even just like quiet around other people, like quiet with myself, and how to be comfortable in that silence, I feel like that's when I also learn more about myself, like who I was as a person. And so be comfortable in the silence, be comfortable in silent seasons, silent days, silent moments where no one's talking to you or you may feel bored. Like, just be comfortable, embrace that silence, because you can always learn something about yourself. It can be as small as you hate this particular TV show and you never knew how much you hated it, or you learn that you're not patient. Like, I'm working on my patience, I told y'all. Pray for your girl. So those are a couple of tips. Now, a few resources I want to share are two things. One, read Becoming by Michelle Obama. First of all, Michelle Obama is my mom for real. Like, maybe she was like a surrogate. Maybe she had a surrogate, but who was my real mom? But really, I love Michelle Obama. Like, oh my gosh, I love her. Anyhow, I read her book Becoming, and although she didn't speak a lot from a spiritual aspect of becoming, I feel that her book allowed me to see that life really is a journey and we don't know the end result. Like, she never imagined that she would be one of the most prominent women in the world, one of the most, well, not even one, the most beloved first lady we've ever had. She didn't imagine that, but she embraced every season and every challenge of her life with a sense of grace and just a sense of open arms. And so that's what I took from the book. And it helped me to realize that I don't have to have it all figured out. Like, I don't have to be stressing about life, because I'm going to always be becoming. I'm going to always be evolving. And so I love the book. I highly recommend that book as a resource if you haven't. Although she talks about her life, I like that it can be a direct mirror to our lives as well, especially those teachable moments that she shares in the book. And then a second resource, y'all know I love a good sermon. So in planning this episode, I was reminded of a sermon that Pastor Mike Todd did, my homie over in Oklahoma. And the sermon talks about being planted and trusting God while you're planted and while you're under attack, feeling underqualified, and just while you're literally underground. It goes into what it really means to be planted in God. And I think the sermon is very fitting for this topic because it doesn't really talk a whole bunch about purpose, but I feel that a lot of us go through seasons where we are planted and feel like we don't have any purpose. Just like sometimes we feel like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be a firefighter. Like, yes, I got it. And then we go underground and God takes us underground and we're like, wait, I'm not supposed to be a firefighter? Like, what the hell, oh Jesus, help me now. So yeah, that sermon is called Under Doesn't Mean Over, and it's a part of a series called Planted Not Buried. But I will make sure I have that in the show notes so that you can just search it, click on it, and listen to it. It's a really, really, really great sermon. And I think that listening to that sermon after listening to this podcast, you will feel a lot better if you are feeling like you don't have a sense of purpose, or it'll also help you put some things into perspective. So even before I recorded the episode, I went back and re-listened. I'm like, yes, yes, that's good. Yes, under doesn't mean over. My life is not over. Like, I have purpose. I am rooted. Like, it's just really good. So make sure y'all go listen. So that wraps up the lesson for today. I really hope that you all are able to gain something from the things I talk about, and that you feel connected to me, and that you feel that you are becoming a better person, even if it's just becoming someone who wakes up on time for work, all the way to becoming a better lover and a better giver. Like, it can range, becoming and evolving ranges across so many spectrums that there's nothing too small and nothing too big that you can become or work towards. And so I really just hope you take that with you and know that you're not alone and it's not over. And being planted means that you have roots and you are a seed and that you will be used. So that is my hope. Before we get out of here, y'all know I have to give you homework. Like, you know that. So this week, I really want you all, and I will be doing this as well, I want you to reflect on who you were a year ago and think about, are you that person? If you've grown, I want you to make a note to yourself detailing how you've grown and why you're still thebum.com. Period. What have you accomplished mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, at school, at church, at work, etc.? Just take a moment to think about those things and maybe even journal them and give yourself a little bit of credit for how far you've come in a year. And if you feel like you haven't grown since a year ago, I want you to make a note of where you are today and then detail where you want to be in 6 months. So the homework is kind of twofold. So you can do both if you want. But if you feel like you have grown and you know you've grown and you have already realized, like, look, Jay, I'm on board. I know I'm on this journey. Yes, I got this. I want you to do the reflection part and really just give yourself some credit to what you have done and how you have grown. And then secondly, if you feel like you haven't grown, which that is not a problem, I don't want you to feel like that's a problem because you are in that season. You may be being planted. Just make note of where you are and then think about where you want to be in 6 months and how you want to embrace this season of being planted and this season of not growing as much as you may want to. And growing is more than materialistic things. I know personally, like, I can say, oh, I got a better job making more money. I've grown. We can get all the money in the world, but if our souls aren't right and if our minds aren't right and if we aren't just really in tune with who we are we really growing? Like, yeah, the bank account may be growing, but sis, that's it. And so I don't want anyone to feel like if it's not materialistic, it's not growth, because to me, growth is way more than materialistic things. I don't even think growth equates to materialistic things. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, that's your homework. Of course, I will post this on Instagram and Twitter, and you can always tag me if you want to share your homework. It may be personal, so you don't have to, but if you wanted to, you can always tag me. I'll be happy to repost things and share on the podcast page. And finally, I want to leave you all with some food for thought. So, of course, I had to take it back to, as most of you call her, Auntie Michelle, but she is my mother, Michelle Obama. This is a quote from her book that I absolutely love, and I think it's a great way to end the episode and just give you some things to think about. She said, "For me, becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. I see it instead as forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously toward a better self. The journey doesn't end." And I love that. Really, I love the whole quote, but the last sentence stuck out to me. The journey doesn't end, because sometimes we think that it does. We think once we reach a certain goal that it's over, I've conquered the world, and that's not the case. So I hope you all will read her book and get those nuggets for yourself if you haven't read her book, and listen to the sermon and take the tips and just all of the things I've shared. I hope that you're able to use to continue to become a better person. So thank y'all again. This wraps up episode 2 of the School of Life podcast. Make sure you're following, subscribing, tagging me, and I'll be sure to connect with y'all on social media. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.